Bob Dylan began his career exclusively as a folk artist. His debut album featured him primarily covering traditional folk songs, but the American folk tradition Dylan drew from was not devoid of the social and political commentary he would go on to receive acclaim for. Bob Dylan drew heavily from his predecessors, including the notable activist and songwriter Woody Guthrie, who alongside writing such classics as This Land Is Your Land, was known for his American socialist and anti-fascist ideology. This is a photo of Guthrie with his guitar labeled "This Machine Kills Fascists." While it didn't receive the popular success that The Times They're A-Changin' did, Dylan's song With God on Our Side features some of his sharpest lyrics and a poignant criticism of American exceptionalism and manifest destiny. The song moves through American history from verse to verse, beginning in its origins in the removal of indigenous Americans to the then-present Cold War with the Soviet Union. The song is a critique of Americans' tendency to believe that they are on the morally superior side of any conflict and to justify atrocity on the basis of this belief. In the second to last verse, Dylan asks if Judas had God on his side while he betrayed Jesus, asking the listener to come to their own conclusion, and implying that even if the United States acts based on God's will, they still own the responsibility of their actions. With God on Our Side is an important piece of media, and marks the beginning of an era of anti-war protests and criticism of the American government. At the beginning of Bob Dylan's rise in popularity, he had the opportunity to play live on The Ed Sullivan Show. The variety show was extremely popular and would have guaranteed national attention. Notably, the Beatles would perform on Ed Sullivan before becoming the most popular band in the world. Dylan planned to perform Talkin' John Birch Paranoid Blues, a satirical tune written from the point of view of a member of the John Birch Society, an anti-communist conservative group formed in the late 1950s at the height of the Red Scare. This song pokes fun at the idea of a member searching for communists. The protagonist searches for Reds in his chimney, toilet, and TV set, shocking himself in the process. He proclaims several former U.S. presidents as Russian spies and touting George Rockwell, the founder of the American Nazi Party, as the one true American. CBS decided the lyrics of the song were much too controversial to air on Ed Sullivan. But when asked to censor himself by changing the lyrics or playing a different song, Bob refused and walked out on the rehearsal for the show. Columbia Records pulled the song from Dylan's second album, fearing the provocative lyrics could result in a libel lawsuit from the John Birch Society. Preceding Martin Luther King's historic I Have a Dream speech, Bob Dylan performed for hundreds of thousands at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom in 1963. He played his song Only a Pawn in Their Game, a song about the assassination of civil rights leader Medgar Evers, and specifically about his killer, that the man who shot Medgar Evers will go down in history as a pawn of those who perpetuate racism. That Medgar Evers' murder and the man who did it were products of the system of oppression in the southern U.S., and that Medgar Evers' murderer was as much a victim of the system as a player in it, duped by the politicians who stood to benefit from his hatred for black people.
The day Medgar Evers was buried from the bullet that he caught, they lowered him down as a king. But when the shadowy sun sets on the one that fired the gun, you'll see by his grave on a stone that remains, carved next to his name, his epitaph plain. Only a